And now here it is in 2016, ready to hang up the microphone in his 67th season as play-by-play announcer for the Dodgers. So honored and pleased to have here on the Rich Eisen Show, Vin Scully. How are you, Vin?
Oh, I'm fine, Rich, and thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to have a chat with you.
Oh, my gosh. The pleasure and honor is all mine. What is going through your mind with the last Dodger homestand coming up and 10 games left with you behind the microphone for the Dodgers, Vin?
Well, I'm not really thinking about it too much. To me, it's another homestand, and then there's one last trip to San Francisco. I don't want to, what would I say? I don't want to surround it with me. I would rather concentrate on just doing the games, and then, whoops, all of a sudden I've run out of games. It's been a great tribute to me, but it's also somewhat embarrassing. I find it rather awkward to be out in front of the game. So I've tried to just look at it as another period in my life that will eventually come to an end, although I realize for sure that last game in San Francisco, knowing it's the last game, that will probably be an emotional hurdle that I'll have to get over when I get there, you know.
But some of the tributes in your honor this year have been just incredible to watch from a fan perspective. Who has come up to your booth, or who has called you to offer their congratulations and their offer their honor to you, Vin, this year that stands out?
Well, I think more than anything else, the honor is because I've done something that no one else has done. I've done it for 67 years. I still tell people, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that my achievements have really been the achievements of others. I've just been fortunate that I've been there, assigned to broadcast what turns out to be a perfect game or a World Series clincher or whatever. So that part I've had nothing to do with except the good fortune to be there and the 67 years. So taking all of that into consideration, a lot of people have been extremely kind and thoughtful, and I'm very grateful for all of that. But I really feel that it's been in God's hands, not mine, to place me where the excitement was, to give me the opportunity at a very young age, and to be privileged to do it for so long. When you have all of that going, you realize that you're just a small part of this gigantic operation. So when people come to the booth, and a lot of them have come up, some of them, for instance, are established stars like a Bryce Harper or a Giancarlo Stanton. They were kids growing up listening to the Dodger games. So now they want to see the voice, or at least what's behind the voice, and they come up to say hello, and I really do appreciate it. Others come up because, like umpires come up with it. I'm really greatly appreciative of that. And some managers and veteran players just come up to say goodbye. So all in all, it's been an overwhelming and a very, very gratifying time, but humbling as well, because you know that it's almost over.
Yeah, we're showing video right now of Big Papi coming up to take some time up in full uniform, Vin.
He was so funny. What happened was the Dodgers were saluting his retirement when the Red Sox came to Dodger Stadium. And I was supposed to do a little something on tape, and they would play it on the board at Dodger Stadium. And our cameraman and sometime director, Rob Menchel, was a big Red Sox fan. So he told me a little something that he had read years ago about David. So when I was doing my little bit on him, I said when he was a small child, his father used to flip a grain of corn in the air, and David tried to hit it with a broom handle. And then later, he would take his sister's doll, tear the head off the doll, shave off the hair, and use the head as a ball to hit. And I guess no one had ever said that before, I guess. But he was on the mound at Dodger Stadium, and he looked up, and he heard me tell those little stories, and he said, I have to go up and meet him. So he came up, and as you know, he's a very big man, and I got a big bear hug, and he couldn't believe that I knew that. And then he really broke down laughing over his sister's dolls. I guess he did that, beheading the dolls as he was growing up. So it was a very warm and mostly a moment for both of us. But again, it was because Rob Manchell had those little notes that I talked about.
Vin Scully joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Who did you learn about baseball from the most over the last 67 years behind the microphone, Vin?
Well, I guess first of all, when I began with the Dodgers, I went to spring training, and Branch Rickey, who was a great theoretician and a former player and everything else in the game, he would give nightly lectures about the game. And a lot of the young players and coaches and managers in the organization would attend the lectures. And I had just gotten out of college the year before, so I would take a notebook and I would go attend the lectures, and I would make notes. So that was the beginning of learning the machinations of the game. And then I would talk to the coaches and the manager because I was still going to school, only I was at Vero Beach. And it's been a learning process over the years. I don't say I know it all by any means, but you asked me where it started, and I guess it started listening to Mr. Rickey give those lectures.
Well, we for our poll question today on our show, Vin, we chose 5 calls of yours from your career and asked our fans to vote which one is your favorite or most special. One of them is a football play, Vin, the catch from Montana to Clark that is a seminal moment in the history of the NFL, and obviously you're so closely associated with baseball. What do you recall from that day of that NFC Championship game, Vin?
It's a case of having been fortunate enough to be there, which has happened to me throughout my career, whether it's baseball or golf or football. And I was working with a marvelous football man, Hank Stram, who had been a very successful NFL coach, and we were both eager for the game. We were both well prepared. We got along exceptionally well. And I just remember it had rained in San Francisco, and they did a great job in saving the field. So I remember, number one, going down on the field with Hank and saying, gee, they did a wonderful job to make the field look great. And then it was a terrific game. I mean, Dallas was a big franchise, and the Niners were at home, big crowd, lots of noise. And I always remembered in doing research that Montana was truly a miracle quarterback for coming from behind at game-winning tosses and going back to when he was in college at Notre Dame. So by the time I was ready to do that game, I had a list in front of me of some of the great come-from-behinds that he had made. So when they got the ball, and there was, I don't know, a minute and something left maybe, and they started moving down the field, I was conscious of the fact, this guy's a miracle maker, and sure enough, he made it with Dwight Clark. And I will say, and it was a lovely thing to do, when they announced my retirement and all that stuff, the Niners sent me a great big, beautifully covered with glass, framed, and in it was the picture of the catch, and it was signed by Joe and Dwight Clark and a whole lot of other people. So it's a treasure that I will hold on to forever.
So which sport or event do you wish you could have called in your career that you did not?
Oh, I don't know. I never gave it a thought. I honestly have been completely satisfied, and more than satisfied, totally grateful. No, I don't. For me, for instance, when the catch, after it was over, I got on the airplane and flying back home, and I thought, you know what? It can't get much better than that. That would be a great game to walk off on. And so by the time that plane landed, I had quit football. I know CBS thought, he's just tired. He'll be ready again. But no, that was it. I thought, That's it. I've done it. So, no, I don't feel like I've missed anything. You might say, well, you never did a Super Bowl. And I say, well, that's sure true, but I never really cared. So, no, I don't wish I had done anything more than what I have done. I've been truly blessed, and I say that in all sincerity.
So our other choices for your calls was the Hank Aaron 715 and the Gibson home run, the ball getting by Buckner, and those are the choices right here, Vin. Which one would you say is the most special for you for your calls?
Instead of special, I think I would say the most important, and that would be Henry's home run.
Mm-hmm. Why would you say that?
When he hit it against Al Downing, and Bill Buckner, the left fielder, went back and climbed the fence but couldn't catch it. And I remember ever since I've been a little boy, I've been totally in love with the roar of the crowd. In fact, my entire career, I've tried very hard to broadcast the moment quickly, accurately, and then get out of the way for the roar of the crowd. And I sit there listening to the roar of the crowd, and for a few moments, I'm 8 years old again. I mean, I am thrilled about it. So when Henry hit the home run, I actually took my headset off and walked to the back of the booth and poured a little glass of water and stood there marveling at the reaction of the crowd. Henry's family was on the field. It was truly a memorable moment. And it gave me a moment to think, so that when I went back on the air, I said something to the effect, I've never heard it again, but I know I said something to the effect, what a marvelous moment it is, not just for Henry or his family or the Braves or even Georgia, but what a great moment for the country that a black man is being honored in the Deep South for breaking the record of a white icon. And so people remember that, and that's why I said, to me, sociologically and everything else, that's the most important call I ever made.
Now, Vin, I know I only have a couple minutes left with you, so I just want to say this. I know you said you don't want it to people to think that you're making it about you, but for everybody, it is about you, and nobody, not a single soul, thinks that you're making it about you. So when you say that October 2nd is done and you don't want to call any playoff games, or you don't want to do, maybe Fox reaches out to you, say, do an inning, do this for the World Series. We want it. Your fans want it. Nobody thinks it's about you. Is there any chance you can reconsider what you've said?
No, I don't think so. In all honesty, I've used the expression about it's like saying goodbye in grand opera. It takes them a half hour for the character to say goodbye and leave. I will have said goodbye at Dodger Stadium on the end of September. That would be the 25th of September. And then I will say goodbye one more time from San Francisco. But then to come back on and linger through playoffs and then have to say goodbye again? No, I don't think so. So to me, it's appropriate. I'm extremely thankful for the opportunity. God knows he's given me 67 unbelievable years. I guess you could say that's enough, Vin. Put it to bed, and that's what I'm going to do.
Vin, thank you so much for calling into the show. It truly is an honor and a pleasure, and for the millions and millions and millions of people who have enjoyed you and love you, I'm thrilled to be a conduit here to say thank you. Thank you.
Well, Rick, bless your heart. I'm touched that you would even care to go to the trouble of having me on, believe it or not. Okay. And I am truly grateful for the opportunity to visit with you and say hello to your friend.
Thank you. Thanks, Vin.
Thank you, Rick.
Have a great final few broadcasts. That's Vin Scully, the one, the only, the great. Never will be another. Vin Scully.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.